I am Ginger-san, first of my name, and I have been sworn to strike you down. Fight me, or die with no honor. Harry Potter. You destroyed the Elder Wand. It was bad. Real bad. Not good enough. Expelliarmus! That doesn't work here. Stupefy! Not good enough. Avada Kedavra! No! Welcome back, guys, to the channel. This is the Ginger Gamer, and here we are with another Sony exclusive, Ghost of Tsushima. And believe me when I tell you, I've practiced saying that a lot. So I'm pretty sure I said it right, but I'm sure you'll let me know in the comments below. So Ghost of Tsushima, this is a game by Sucker Punch Studio, which is another one of Sony's first-party titles. They have pretty much all the best first-party studios, I'm not gonna lie. I'm not a Sony fanboy. I have all the consoles. However, you can't deny that the first-party Sony games are firing on all cylinders. So, anyways, put that aside. Ghost of Tsushima. So this game is like an open-world Sekiro, Witcher, Assassin's Creed, Batman Arkham game. It's like this amalgamation of all these different titles. And for the most part, it exceeds and excels at what those games did well. The story picks up, and you are a samurai named Jin Sakai. And you live on the Japanese island of Tsushima. Khotun Khan is a Mongolian hell-bent on taking over Tsushima Island. And he will do it by whatever means necessary. And it's your job as Jin to stop him. So the Mongols fight with no honor, but one of the pillars of being a samurai is that they fight with dignity and honor, and they face their enemies head on. And as you'll see, that's part of one of the main story beats of this game. And this is your first introduction to Khotun Khan, right at the beginning. Shows his ruthlessness, his savagery, no honor in the eyes of a samurai. So let's get right into the bread and butter of this game, the combat. This is by far the best part of the game, and that doesn't mean that the story's not good. It just, this game is about slicing people in half with a samurai sword, and they really make you feel like a samurai. I had a ton of fun, and I never got tired of the combat. I probably played for way too long, probably got 35, 40 hours into it, trying to find everything, trying to do everything, all the side quests, all the mythic tales. The main story itself is, if you just do the story, I believe it's about 20 hours, 20, 25 hours, and I am playing on lethal difficulty mode. These first few scenes that you're seeing is actually on hard because there was an update to patch it to allow for a higher difficulty, and as soon as they did that, I switched it. Now, the standoff that you're seeing here, where you're able to slow-mo kill multiple people, this is a fully leveled up character with the suit that allows you to do up to 5. I cannot stress this enough. I love standoffs. Now, you have the ability when you go up to a group of enemies, you can either do a standoff where you face them head on like a samurai, or you have the option to do stealth and play as what they call the ghost, which is samurai without honor. And I preferred the standoffs much more. I never got tired of them. More often than not, I like to mix things up. Towards the later part of the game, I would like to do standoffs, and then I'd finish the rest of the people off with the smoke bombs, because you have the ability to upgrade so much stuff. You're so powerful when you get to this point. And I had spent a lot of time on the first part of the island leveling up way too much stuff. honestly, because I felt myself, even though I was playing on lethal difficulty, so overpowered in some parts, especially when you use all these gadgets that you get, and you get a ton of them. I felt very overpowered, but I still had a ton of fun. I still enjoyed it. I did favor the combat, though, as far as the first things that I upgraded was the combat first. And there are also these boss fights called Duels. Now, these are challenging, and they're fun, and they're a good change of pace. I'm glad that they're there, and sometimes they're at the end of a long quest. And you're not able to use any of your gadgets, but you are able to use special moves that you acquire over the course of the game. And these are a lot of fun. They're not overly challenging. I mean, on lethal difficulty, I have died a lot. There are many times where if you're wearing a specific type of armor, that you're like a one hit and you're dead. And so I have died quite a bit, but it is not as brutally difficult as a game like Sekiro, where the bosses are requiring you to memorize their combat to a T. This game is much more forgiving, and it's fun, and I like it because it's not trying to be Sekiro. So I do like that. I really, really love the combat. As far as the stealth goes, the stealth is fun. Don't get me wrong. Again, like I said, I did favor the combat over the stealth, and it wasn't until I upgraded more of the stealth that I started having more fun with the stealth, but I still oftentimes would switch to combat or use the bow or something like that. But I felt like the enemy AI just wasn't up to par, even on the higher difficulty. Now, I mentioned that there were lots of upgrades. Now, the big thing with the combat is that there are 4 different stances. And the first stance is for other sword wielders. The second stance is for shield holders. The third stance is for spear enemies. And the fourth stance is for the game's brutes. Now, each one of those stances works perfectly for each one of those enemies, and the way they implement the button mapping is perfect and easy to switch in the middle of a fight. It's still very challenging, but it's a ton of fun, and I really like this inclusion. Not just that, but the fact that the combos for each one wasn't overly difficult. They were variations of holding down the triangle button and hitting the square button. Square button is light attack, and the triangle button is the heavy attack. Next up, open world and exploration. Now, this world is an open world. I'm not sure if I said that yet, and I'm not really sure how it compares in size to games like The Witcher 3 or GTA 5. However, it did feel large, and it did feel very fun to explore. I felt like there was nothing that was left to waste. There was not just repeated patterns. I felt like it was all unique and begging to be explored, which I love. Now, one of the really unique things they did with exploration is instead of having like a wayfinder where you press a button and it points an arrow as to where you should go, they actually used the breeze, and it keeps you fully immersed in the game. It's so cool. You swipe up on the touchpad, and the breeze tells you where to go as far as what objective you're doing, and it is really cool. I really, really liked it. I think it's very unique. I can't think of any other game that's done something like that. And not only that, but they also have gold birds that show up out of nowhere, and they can point you to a point of interest. They don't always show you the same thing. And I followed so many gold birds, I cannot just tell you how many times I got sidetracked chasing a gold bird. And they also have another really cool thing is foxes. They have foxes that show up, and they take you to shrines where you can upgrade the amount of charms you can put on your sword. So all these little different things that just make exploration so much fun. Also, the game loads really fast. I was very impressed. I'm playing on a PS4 Pro. I feel like it loads really quick for the type of open world game that it is, and I haven't had any pop-in. The graphics are just outstanding. It's such a great looking game, and I just think it's top notch. And what kind of open world game would it be if there was not looting? Now, the looting is very similar to The Last of Us, where as you get close to something that you can get, it flashes, which I really like that because it kind of gives you a little bit of a heads up, but it's not until you get close enough to it, so you still have to search. And I will say that it did not feel tedious, but I really like to loot, so it might feel tedious to some people. Now, you need everything that you loot. Now, a lot of games where you're looting and you're picking up stuff and some of the things you're not using. This game, if you want to upgrade your armor, if you want to upgrade your weapons, your bow, all that stuff, you have to loot. It takes so much looting to get enough stuff to upgrade. So it's definitely rewarding, and it's a change of pace. So like I said, there are tons and tons of upgrades. You can find all kinds of different upgrades for your sword and for your armor and cosmetic upgrades. It's just, the sky's the limit. I mean, it's just upgrades on top of upgrades. And it's really cool. Now, I didn't upgrade every single piece of armor because there were ones that I used more often than not. I liked using the Ghost armor, of course. I liked using the Ronin armor because it gives you stats to boost your melee. And then later on, when you get the, I believe it's the Sakai armor, that's Jin's father's armor. That one increases health and increases melee damage. So, and it also gives the ability to stand off with 5 people. So I really ended up using a lot once I acquired that. But as you can see, you can change masks, you can change hats, and you can also get different dyes for the colors for all these different armors. It's really cool. And I usually don't spend a whole lot of time customizing stuff like this, but I really enjoyed it in this game. So as far as negatives, the first thing that comes to mind and the first thing that bothered me while playing this game was the camera. So you get lost in the camera oftentimes where either enemies or objects will get in the way of you being able to see your character. So right here in a standoff, that character got in my way and I couldn't tell when to strike, couldn't tell when to counter, and I got killed. And this happened many, many times. And it didn't just happen when doing standoffs. In just normal battle and fighting, the camera could get intruded by different objects, trees, rocks, or you could just get lost within the enemy characters. So the second thing is the stealth. I kind of mentioned that the AI wasn't up to par. I think the AI, especially when you gear your samurai with certain charms and armor, they basically turn into idiots. And they're not like this during combat head-on, but right here where I'm able to still kill the enemy under stealth even though he looked at me, it's kind of weird. I'm not sure. It's fun, but it's not challenging. So in this instance right here, you'll see me, I kill this guy, and one guy comes over to me. He lets me take him out. And I just stay knelt down. And these idiots keep running to me. So I just keep one shot killing them. And I'm not sure why the enemy AI, especially on lethal difficulty, is this brain dead. But this is definitely a major issue. The stealth I consider broken as far as what you equip, to the point where, yes, I still had fun, but it's not challenging. Sushi, anybody? Yummy! One of the other things that becomes apparent the further you get into the game is you become so overpowered that you can pretty much spam enemies and they present little to no challenge. I purposely had to choose to fight them head to head in order for it to be challenging. I have so many ninja stars and smoke bombs and sticky bombs, and it's so much stuff. It just becomes way too easy to take down these enemies. There are so many enemies I'm here fighting right now, and I took them down with relative ease, again on the hardest difficulty. So being able to spam enemies like this while fun and empowering takes a lot of the challenge out. So some other minor gripes. The side quests, for the most part, aren't all that interesting outside of the mythic tales. The fact that when you're looting from killing an enemy or an animal, it doesn't allow you to loot right away and takes what seems like a few seconds, which doesn't seem like much, but when you're trying to loot 6 or 7 enemies and you have to wait for each one, it seems kind of goofy. However, don't let these negatives fool you. I still enjoyed my 35 to 40 hours that I played Ghost of Tsushima, and I'm going to go back and try to do a platinum on it because the combat is so much fun. The world is so rich and rewarding, and just, again, I can't wait to continue exploring it. So make sure you subscribe. Thanks for watching. Ginger out. Get back here.